right. And all right, we've got a green light. I think that means we're live. So it's Monday morning on the Brushfire Mind. That means we're doing Me More Monday at my pop filter's all out of sorts. Let's do this.
I think they can hear you cough over this because there's no audio. And good morning, Gavin. And black screen, black screen.
And it looks like we've got Gavin in the audience today. Good morning. So what are we talking about today? Boom! That's what we're talking about today. Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Y'all. I just don't even know where to start.
Well, we can start with the obvious. Like this is such high grade trolling. Like if this was trolling, if trolling was steak, this would be like the Wagyu filet mignon of trolling.
Ooh.
I mean, dry age, 21 days. Like,
I mean, we're talking about a $3,700 steak. Oh, and in this case, maybe a $3,700 steak with ketchup.
well done. Oh, double pun. We're starting off well.
Damn.
That's correct.
Damn. So what happened? What happened? The Donald tweeted, without context or comment, this image. I don't think anybody has established whether it was whether this is something that he had done, or if somebody else did it and it just came across his feed and he thought it was funny. I don't know. This seems like something that he could have pulled off. But I will say this about it for sure. Look at the neckline. Look at the neck and the chin there. This isn't just Photoshop. This is actually some expertly achieved Photoshop. It doesn't look like somebody just cut and paste the head on there. There was some real effort put into color matching the skin tone in this image. So somebody with some chops, with some real chops in Photoshop, made this happen. And what happened? Well, everything blew up. Now, right before, or I'm sorry, not right before. So he tweeted that image out. And I want to point out that I had to go to archive.is to find the original, because if we go to Newsweek's website for the article, they stealth edited it. Oh wow, it's not even up there anymore.
Stealthily. Not up there.
Wow,
anymore.
they got the hell rid of it. So let's just go to Newsweek itself and see if we can find the article, because I want to show you what happened. I did not pull this article before the show on purpose. Yep, they just moved it right along. They changed it after the fact, after they got just bawled out over it. Precisely because they got bawled out over it. They changed it from this headline, tweeting golfing and more, to tweeting golfing and visiting the troops. And I think they did it with a question mark. Is that a train?
Yes, that is a train. You can hear that?
I didn't realize that you could hear the train from your house.
Yeah. Well, there are train tracks that run right through the middle of town.
Yeah. I just didn't realize that you would hear it from there. I'm marginally impressed that the microphone picked it up.
So just backing up to the Trump Rocky Balboa meme real quick. Here's why that's brilliant. The whole point of the Rocky movies is that Rocky's tough. Rocky overcomes things. The sort of the common theme to every Rocky movie is no matter how hard he gets hit, how many times he gets put down on the mat, he bounces back up,
Right.
comes back for more. Even on the rare occasion where he loses a fight, he doesn't run away. He wants a rematch and gets it and wins the rematch. And that's what he and Donald Trump have in common. I was chatting with Chris about this before the show, and that's what Trump has done politically. He's weathered a whole bunch of attacks to become president. It's not just his brilliance and his ability to read the room and understand what it was going to take to win. Donald Trump also understood what it was going to take to not be a loser. And say what you want about John McCain, but he was a loser. He could have, I sincerely believe, even now, to this day, if he'd gone on the offense, he could have beat Barack Obama in 2008. And ditto for Mitt Romney. But they wanted to treat politics as though it was, well, ironically enough, a boxing match where there were rules and referees. And yeah, it's a blood sport, but it's a controlled blood sport. And Donald Trump said, that's how you lose. We're going to try it a different way. Maybe I won't win, but at least I won't lose the way those other losers lost. And no matter what they hit me with, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to come out swinging twice as hard every time. And turned out that was good enough to win the presidency. So this is not just some funny thing that somebody put together. There's actually some real memetics that underlie it that make it just so brilliant. And then the fact that people were actually fact checking it. Was Donald Trump ever actually a boxer? We already know Donald Trump wasn't a boxer. Like, what's wrong with you people? Is your Trump derangement syndrome showing? Is that a Trump derangement syndrome in your pocket, or are you just unhappy to see me? But then it just gets better. Oh, we've noticed you're blocking ads.
Yes, and I'm going to continue blocking ads. Well, Wapo, you almost got a chance to get featured on the Brushfire Mind, which is not as big a deal as I would like it to be, but we're getting there. And well, shut up your nose.
But then it gets even better, going back to the Newsweek article.
So I want to point out some particular language here. As with any other day of the year, Trump will probably be tweeting or expressing his opinions in another way. That's right. That's a prediction. Why is that a prediction? Because this chick, this Jessica Kwong,
This now unemployed Jessica
who is now
Kwong.
unemployed, she wrote this article the day before. She wrote this article before the news had happened. Now, this is something that happens. This is something that journalists do. It's bullshit, but it is something that journalists do. Now, I would like to draw some contrast here. We did something last week. We pre-recorded a show on Thursday that we scheduled for release on Friday. But there's a big difference. On Thursday, we did a show. We pre-recorded a show for Friday where we talked about a story that happened earlier in the week. The story we were talking about on Friday happened on Monday. So we didn't predict anything. We reported what was happening, and then we scheduled the publication for the next day. This is a little different. This was written so that the scheduled publication could run an article about things that hopefully had happened before the article ran. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all, is it, Jessica? Ooh, did somebody get out ahead of their skis? And she got fired. We've talked about this a bit this morning, Cameron and I. Because if y'all hadn't figured this out so far, Cameron and I usually spend a good 30 to 40 minutes before the show discussing what we're going to discuss on the show. Notes. Notes.
Blurry
Okay.
notes.
Blurry notes, but you see that there's
With notes.
So she wrote this article, and the memes have been spicy. The cat lady hat meme. You were supposed to be golfing. Surprise, bitch. That's good stuff. She wrote this article, and the clear point to the article is to accuse Donald Trump of the grievous crime of taking the day off to spend it with his family, of being a human being for one day. They cannot give him one day. The joke has been if Donald Trump cured cancer, they would find a way to spin it as an attack on the Mexicans or something. You would suddenly see articles coming out of academia that said cancer was good for the climate. That we need and actually the way it would be spun, honestly, no irony, no comedy in this statement. If Donald Trump cured cancer, the left would suddenly publish articles about the danger of overpopulation and its effects on climate change. That's actually what would happen.
So let's just review.
No irony at all.
Let's just review and make sure we have the timeline correct. Donald Trump was at Mar-a-Lago on Wednesday.
Yes. And he did play golf on Wednesday.
So there was, from a certain perspective, there was every reason to believe that this was actually going to be a true, relatively speaking, a true article when it came out. And then it turns out, nope, surprise, bitch. Like, are you ready to just credit him with a full-on psyop? Let's tweet a couple of bizarre things and then just sneak off in the middle of the night, fly into a hot zone and have some turkey and dressing with the troops.
So here's the thing. The Donald is often, by guys like us, suggested to be playing 4D chess. And let me dig into that for just a second. When you say 4D chess, people tend to think of the multi-tiered chess game that you see played in Star Trek. That's 3D chess. Regular chess is two-dimensional. It's a flat board. I mean, the physical object is three-dimensional. You have the little pieces standing up. But that's two-dimensional chess. 3D chess is where you have several chessboards. You can move up and down, and that has to become part of your strategy because you're no longer studying soldiers on a battlefield. You're studying spacecraft in flight. And I'm tracking on the time. I'm tracking on that. But 4D chess, the fourth dimension is time. So a game of 4D chess would be the Star Trek 3D chess, where the rules include some capacity for you to alter previous moves or predict and alter future moves. That's what happened here. That is the thing that happened here. The maneuver, he outflanked a targeted opponent on the timeline by altering the expectations of that timeline. This is 4D chess. That's what happened here.
Yeah, I agree. And then he made a whole bunch of troops real happy.
So I always loved it when, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, the command team would come and serve us meals. I had Thanksgiving in Afghanistan one time. I was not... when I had Thanksgiving in Afghanistan, I was out in sector. I was on a tiny little cop in the middle of nowhere. The command team didn't serve us dinner that day because, well,
you didn't exist.
No, the command team existed. We had a pretty decent meal, but we also had missions to do. And the command team out that far is a first sergeant and a commander who are throwing on body armor and going out and shooting bad guys with us. So we were busy. But the Donald hit Bagram, and you see the pictures. He sat down and ate dinner with the troops. He spent 3.5 hours there. He sat down and ate dinner with the troops, but he stood on the line. He stood on the food line and served meals, served plates to troops. And that's a big deal. It really is. I cannot express to you how very, very heartening it is, how great for the troops' morale it is, how great it was for my morale. Even when I was stationed in garrison, it's just a normal day. Got a day job. Nobody's shooting at me. I'm in Hawaii, or I'm in Texas, or I'm in California, wherever I was stationed at the time. Because I got around a little bit. When the first sergeant, the commander, the sergeant major, the battalion commander, the brigade commander came and sat down and ate with us, we got to just chit chat like men, not colonel and private or sergeant major and sergeant. No, men sitting down and eating dinner. It was very, very cool. We'd joke, we'd say inappropriate things, we'd make comments that stretched beyond our rank. And it was all part of just a good camaraderie. It's what makes units cohesive. This is a bigger deal than anybody who's never returned fire can ever understand. It's huge.
Huge.
I mean, seriously, this may be the thing that if I had caught wind of this before we went live last Thursday, this would have been the Totar Win.
Yeah. Well, that was the point. Nobody was supposed to catch wind of it.
Exactly.
And
now, I haven't been able to confirm the story about the fake motorcade that was sent to distract the press. That's been part of the story, part of the narrative. I love it as a concept, but it has escaped me on trying to verify it.
Well, he was already at Mar-a-Lago. And I also think
yes.
that part of the story there is Trump has a Mar-a-Lago he can just fly to.
Yep.
I think there's so much there, not just with how much they hate Trump for what he does, but what he represents. The fact that he's so successful that when he takes time off from being president, he can go to one of the most gorgeous golf resorts in the world and just kind of hang out there with his, good-looking wife and good-looking family. They hate it.
Look at this. I'm sorry. I just noticed this in this picture right over here. Damn, that's a salty looking old killer.
Yeah, man, that's all I got this morning. Donald Trump I'm almost sad because eventually, and it will probably be in 2024, not 2020, but eventually there will not be a Donald Trump as president anymore. And oh dear, I am going to miss the meme warfare so much.
Well, we'll keep fighting, and we'll keep winning. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. It's time to go to work. Y'all be safe out there.
All right. His troll level is over 9,000.
And it looks like we got audio through.